This is Stellar Arcanum, exploring the secrets of the kingdom.
The Book of Revelation, a historical critical presentation on past events, scholarly interpretation, and prophecy failures. Impact of Revelation on modern eschatological movements. Revelation's misunderstood symbolism continues to influence contemporary theology, culture, and politics. The rise of end-times popular culture, from the late Great Planet Earth to the Left Behind novels and films, has reinforced an expectation of imminent global apocalypse, sometimes inspiring pessimism, disengagement from social responsibility, and even influence on international relations. The Four Horsemen serve as a symbolic allegory for cycles of human history. Cycles of hysteria and disappointment. New generations repurpose Revelation symbols to fit current anxieties. Nuclear war, pandemics, political figures designated as the Antichrist, only to experience disillusionment when predicted cataclysms do not occur. To correctly understand Revelation's intent, it is crucial to situate it within the apocalyptic literary tradition of Second Temple Judaism. Apocalypse comes from the Greek apokalypsis, unveiling, denoting a type of literature that employs visions, symbolism, dualistic theology, and claims of divine revelation about the cosmic struggle between good and evil. Features of the apocalyptic genre: symbolic visions, surreal imagery, beasts, horns, plagues, seals, and cosmic upheaval, functions as coded language about real political and existential crises. Dualism, stark contrast between light and darkness, good and evil, the righteous and the wicked, which maps onto real-life conflicts between early Christians and Rome. Historical determinism, a sense that events are unfolding according to a preordained divine script, intended to comfort those who feel powerless in the present world order. Revelation structure, visions, and symbolism all echo earlier Jewish apocalyptic texts such as Daniel, 1 Enoch, 4 Ezra, and the testaments of the 12 patriarchs. Jewish apocalyptic thought became especially prominent following perceived failures of prophecy, such as the non-arrival of a messianic kingdom after the Babylonian exile. Later books like Daniel reframe the present woes as both the outworking of and the solution to this divine delay, a process mirrored in Revelation's own narrative weaving of loss and future hope. The Book of Revelation is not only saturated with Jewish apocalyptic imagery, but may itself be a redacted, Christianized version of a pre-Christian Jewish apocalypse. Throughout history, many have read Revelation as a script for predicting the future, always with disastrous results. Such as William Miller's 1844 prophecy utilized Daniel and Revelation's apocalyptic imagery to predict Christ's return, inspiring thousands to anticipate heavenly ascension while demonstrating how Jewish eschatological symbols influenced Christian millenarian movements and prophetic interpretations throughout history. Also in 1993, David Koresh led the Branch Davidians as an apocalyptic sect, claiming to have decoded the 7 seals in Revelation and positioning himself as the Lamb of God who would die and resurrect to usher in the end times. The ordeal ended in flames, with 76 Davidians, including women and children, perishing, marking one of the most tragic millennial prophecies gone catastrophically wrong. Reinforcement of pessimism and fatalism. A literal focus on worldwide destruction and judgment can encourage a withdrawal from efforts at justice, peace, and reconciliation, in favor of passive anticipation of cataclysm. Symbolism misread as literal. Modern interpreters often ignore genre and context, treating symbolic visions as specific forecasts. Imminence language ignored. Phrases like "shortly" and "the time is near," which refer to the author's era, are reframed as code for distant future fulfillment. Repeated redefinitions. When predictions fail, new spiritualized or creative rereadings are offered. Political mobilization through Revelation sectarian imagery demonstrates how apocalyptic texts become tools for radical movements, with historical evidence showing systematic manipulation of prophetic language to justify extremist ideologies and divisive political agendas across contemporary society. Literalist interpretations treat the text's imagery and time references as applying directly to future global events, neglecting the world of the original author and recipients. This approach often depends on creative harmonization with Daniel, Ezekiel, and other texts to produce complex prophetic timelines that are never realized in history. This explains the persistence and adaptability of apocalyptic vision as a response mechanism to recurring trauma and crisis, rather than failed prognostication. The historical and scholarly analysis reveals that the Book of Revelation is best understood as an apocalyptic work rooted in its time. A visionary prose protest against the violence, oppression, and idolatry of imperial Rome, and by extension, a source of hope and identity for marginalized early Christians. The overwhelming scholarly consensus among historians, textual critics, and biblical scholars rejects the literal futurist interpretations as both methodologically flawed and historically unwarranted. The Book of Revelation was composed during a period of acute upheaval in the late 1st century CE, a time marked by significant persecution of Christians and Jews under Roman rule. The destruction of the Jerusalem temple by Roman legions in 70 CE, an event that shattered the center of Jewish religious life and set off a profound theological crisis. The real function of Revelation is twofold: protest against injustice and oppression, and affirmation of hope and perseverance, a message with enduring but historical relevance.